Technology is going to get people interested in your product, but the people are going to drive your business. So you need to train them and you need to stay with them. Purpose, direction, and motivation. That's going to be the key.
Hey, Jason Rice here, Lot Pop. Again, we're doing one of our views from the top and or another version of our up bus. And this week, view from the top came from Amid Jones. Now, Amid is one of our performance engineers, but actually a little bit deeper than that. He does a lot of our training to keep the dealerships engaged and actively using the tool. And Amid and I go a few years back, but I don't want to give away too much of that information. I'll let Amid go ahead and introduce himself and give a little bit of a background. Amid, thanks for joining us. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be here like always. So thank you. I'm doing good.
Now, and you're one of our local performance engineers, and I bring that up because a lot of our guys are remote, and we try to bring in the top talent all over the place. But I love being able to have you in the office and have you here locally. So give us a little bit of your background and how much time you spent in the industry and what you've been doing.
Well, I've been in the industry for almost 10 years. I joined the industry a little bit late. I came from the warehouse side of it before I was military, but I came from the warehouse side managing. And I stopped that because I saw an ad, never been in sales, never been in car sales. And it said, hey, we need a sales manager and you get paid $15,000 a month. And I was never heard of that kind of money before. And I was like, what? Managers getting paid that much? So needless to say, I came in, I had to start at the bottom, but I worked my way up from there and held different positions from finance to desk manager. But my niche was training. I was very good at training. I developed a training system and I had the dealership bring me on. And even though I was selling cars and a sales manager, my heart was just in training. And I was very good at training salespeople and making sure they could sell cars and make a lot of money.
You got to tell everybody your nickname too.
Sarge the car guy. Yeah. So that came about when I first got in the business and I wanted to be able to navigate quickly. And I noticed when I called myself Sarge, it resonated with people, no matter what color, race, size. They would always ask me why Sarge, and that broke the walls quickly. So then I coined Sarge the car guy, branded it, and went on social media. And actually for a while I was Facebook famous. So
yeah. Again, that's when we started communicating and going back and forth. And now with all your experience at dealerships, and one of the things that I knew we needed to do is get our dealerships trained up, and that's a lot of your passions is that sales training. And so you bring a lot to our stores. And anybody here that's a client that's looking at this, if your team, you got 2 new team members, or if your team just needs a refresher, this is the guy to reach out to. So this week's view from the top, the subject line or the title of it was, do you have the keys to build a successful sales team? And we talk about, obviously the COVID phase where if anybody's in the business the last 4 years, they don't know the reality of the business prior to COVID. They're starting to feel it in the last year or so. But just to give some insight, I think you hit about 5 different areas you want to focus on. The first one being establish a clear purpose. So 2 things underneath that: 1, define your mission, and 2, set clear expectation. Kind of dig into what you were talking about in that.
Well, like I mentioned before, I was in the military, and the thing that made us very successful in the military is leadership. Okay, that's why our military is the top 1%. So I brought that over to the car business because if you don't establish a clear purpose, if you don't define the mission, if you don't set expectations, people are going to be wondering. And when they start wondering, they start creating their own systems. They start creating their own expectations. And then you've lost, your goal. So letting them know that as soon as you get a hold of them, as soon as you grab them and say, hey, this is what I expect. This is your mission. This is what needs to be done. And 1, you do 2 things. You give people a clear purpose, but 2, you weed out the people that aren't going to meet those expectations, right? We don't want them standing there, sitting in our field of expertise for too long, absorbing our resources if they really can't, accomplish what you need them to accomplish. But if you set that up front, it'll help them, it'll help your team move in the right direction.
Yeah, and that goes back into, you know, providing memorable and energetic direction too, because you just can't tell people what to do and like the military get in their face and just expect them to drop and give you 10. So
Yeah.
you talk about with that is the second one, provide memorable and energetic direction. One, daily motivational meetings. Two, best practice workshops. Three, consistent follow-up. So kind of dig into that area.
So, like you said, you can't just tell them their purpose. After that, you got to give them the direction. And what I mean, and it's super simple, right? It could be come down to just a job description. You know what I mean? Like you give them purpose, you're a salesperson. But if you don't give them their job description saying this is how you sell, then they're not going to be able to accomplish what you need them to accomplish. So daily motivational meetings, I think honestly, every dealership should be taking their salespeople and talking to them in the mornings, every morning for half an hour, going over what happened yesterday, or just giving them a little bit of training. Okay. Because it keeps you guys refocused. If people are just walking in from their bed to your job or to your dealership to sell, you don't know where their mindset was at before you got there. So sometimes you just got to reset that mindset. Best practice workshops. I mean, hold stuff, invest into your people, and teach them what worked for people in the past, especially now, like you mentioned, pre-COVID, there was a lot of sales systems. There was a lot of success. Companies like ours, GMs, GSMs, the people that were there before, I would say we're the gatekeepers of the success pre-COVID. But now we have a lot of people that came in during COVID and they thought price and supply and demand was the way you sell cars. Mm-hmm. And now they need those people that knew what it was like to actually sell. So you need to, hold those. And then consistent follow-up. You can never, there's a saying, it's called shoot, fire, and forget, right? But you still have to follow up. Like for you, if you ask me to do something, you should expect it to be done, but sometimes you just need to follow up. One, you need to make sure that it was accomplished, but two, that shows that you care, right? If Jason comes behind and says, hey, Amid, we had these calls, we had these meetings, and he comes back a week later and said, hey, how did those meetings go? Now I know that my leader cares for me, and I'm going to work hard next time I have a mission.
So targeted motivation then. Okay. That was the other one. Mm-hmm. Because you mentioned shoot. I mean, obviously you have to have you mentioned individual motivators because everybody reacts differently to different things. Personalized incentives. Some people don't want the money. Maybe they just want the recognition. Maybe they want that watch that the wife won't let them have, but it's his bonus and it don't matter, right? Or team building activities. Kind of target. Well, target motivation again. What's behind all that? Is that just to keep them in the flow? Or is it more of a dangling a carrot in front of them?
No, it's to drive the purpose in the direction, right? Because we're humans. Humans can't wake up every single day and be able to accomplish something at the same speed every day. So you need a motivator. You need somebody that can motivate, and you need motivating factors, right? There's going to be times where you're drained. There's going to be times where you don't think you can do it. There's going to be something that happens in your life, but you need to have targeted motivation in order to keep that team moving. And that's where leadership, and in my opinion, and a lot of the industry lacks, because we can have purpose and we can have direction. But who's going to be that champion leader that's going to motivate them to keep going? Like you said, sometimes you just got to bless the soul or the wallet. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to give people a title, give them a title, and they're happy as can be. Some people are motivated by money. Hey, I don't care about the title. I just need to pay my bills, or I want to drive around in my Corvette, but you got to do that. And then incentivize what they're accomplishing. You can't just expect people to do. And then at the end of the day, after they've done for you, then they don't get anything in return. Team building activities. That's all about culture. If you can't have a team building activity, then the roosters are hens are running the roost. However you say the prisoners are running the jail, right? You got to be able to have those team building. But without motivation, your team will not last. They won't stay long. I promise you. They're going to get their money. They're going to get bored, and they're going to realize, what are we doing here? And they're going to leave. So purpose, direction, give them motivation.
There you go. And then the fourth is seizing the opportunity in a down market. A lot of people will just complain and talk about how bad and how slow it is. But if you actually could step back, you say it allows a change agent, a game changer, to step in. So three things in that was market analysis, flexible strategies, restructure, and train. I think this one takes a little bit of more insight and energy to get people to understand there's more to it. There's a big opportunities in this slowdown. Yeah.
Well, if you look at market analysis and any traders, or even when you're doing market analysis with the car business in a down market, that doesn't mean that's your time to, stick your head in the sand, right? So in a down market, that's your opportunity to be that person that can pull your team out of that down market and take advantage of when that market goes back up. There was Warren Buffett. I think it was Eric Thomas. He got a chance to sit in the room with Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett had came to Detroit and start buying up all these buildings. And Eric Thomas asked him, like, why are you buying all these buildings right now? They're run down, they're this, they're that. This was right at the cusp, I think, of the 2008 collapse. He asked him a simple question. He said, Eric Thomas, he said, when do vultures eat?
After they're dead, or when
they're dead, right? Yeah. So if you go in and you have a down market, you eat. Why? Because once that market starts growing again, you were at the bottom. So you become that change agent. You restructure, you train, you tell people this is not a bad time, this is a good time, and you adjust. And then once the market flies up, now you've been in the market and you have a new insight and you have a new stream of income.
Yeah. Side note, we talked about, my wife started doing real estate. She just did. And she's like, man, what am I doing? Everybody's getting out of the market and this and that. I'm like, no, that's perfect timing. You build your database up for the next 6 to 12 months while everybody else is bailing. And when that market comes back, you've got a foundation already built, and they got to scramble. So no, that's a perfect analogy. All right. So last one, addressing current issues in dealerships. So, you said many dealerships lack a champion who take the reins and build a motivation team. So you got to have active leadership, push for performance, and build a culture of follow-up. So again, let's dig into that.
So what do I mean by that? Leadership is tough because leadership can't fail. Okay. And I really believe that if your team is failing, I always say it starts with you, the leader. It starts at the top, okay? Because you have a responsibility to, if there are weak players, you have a responsibility to either make them strong or get them off the team, right? So if you keep weak players and then your team fails, that's your fault. But what I mean by addressing current issues in a dealership, this is controversial. I know it is, but some of the top guys have said it. The Glenn Lundy's, the Jonathan Dawsons, all of them said it. There's people that get their position just for the pay. They don't know how to take responsibility of what the people or what the salespeople are doing. The salespeople are the heartbeat of the dealership. Without them, you're not selling any cars. So you can be a good desk manager, you could be a good inventory strategist, you can do all that. But if you do that and nobody's selling your vehicles, now what? So when I say you need a champion, what I was very good at when I went in and managed and led a team is I took responsibility of the outcomes that they had. So if they didn't sell cars, that was my fault. If their demo percentage was low, that was my fault. When I did that, when I took responsibility, I was able to adjust and figure out, how do we get them? That's where the motivation comes in. Okay. They're not selling cars, not because they can't close, because they have a 65% closing ratio, but guess what? Their demo percentage was 30%.
Yeah.
Now I got to be motivated and say, hey, how do we get your demo percentage up so you can close more car deals? But if you just have that as a simple conversation, it's not going to work. So you need an active leader. They need to push performance and need to build a culture around follow-up. always follow with them, always let them know what's going on, and you got to be that champion. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Well, you said something about leaders failing, and I think also a sign of a good leader is admitting when they fail and say, hey, here's where I messed up, but here's what I'm going to learn from it. Because if they're just pushing perfection all the time and acting like they don't make mistakes, I think that's where the disconnect happens too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So that's awesome, man. I think we hit all 5 of these things. And, with that, what would you say is a good wrap up? What would be, if anybody just said, all right, I listened to all that, I took some notes, but where do I start? What would you say? What would be?
I mean, if you got the article, read the article. But at the end of the article, I say the most significant need in the market right now is training. Those around pre-COVID are the gatekeepers to success. Technology is great. Technology is amazing, right? But navigating people in sales is a skill. Technology is going to get the people in your building. The technology is going to get people interested in your product, but the people are going to drive your business. So you need to train them, and you need to stay with them. Purpose, direction, and motivation. That's going to be the key to your successful team.
Perfect. That's an awesome view from the top. And thanks, Amid, for all that you put into this, and thanks for your time. And I hope everybody got something out of this. And again, every week we put this view out at the top in our weekly newsletter. If you'd like to sign up, go to our website and sign up there and take advantage of it. And hopefully we will see you next week on our next episode from View from the Top.
Thank you. And I appreciate you, Jason.
Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.